Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. My name is Chris, coming back with another album review for you. Firstly, before we get started, I wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who watched my interview with Michalina of Elvati. It was such a cool moment for me to land such a great guest for our first ever interview, the first ever interview I've ever done or conducted. So it was very surreal when she got back to me and said, yeah, let's do an interview. It was amazing. And it went on to become our first video to ever hit 200 views, which is an awesome milestone for us, so thank you all so much once again. I really, really appreciate it. Please go check it out if you haven't done so already. I'm really, really proud of that video. So, with our last video being a long retrospective on the albums of Blind Guardian, you can check that out as well, and the video prior being, of course, the interview, I thought it was about time to get back to the bread and butter of our channel, as it were, which is, of course, album reviews. And this next band is one I discovered for the very first time listening to this new album. The subject of today's review is American band from Houston, Texas, Oceans of Slumber, and this is their fourth studio album, and it's a self-titled release. So admittedly, I only heard about this band semi-recently. It was in a recent issue of Metal Hammer. I think it was the latest one. Don't quote me on that. I think it was latest at the time of recording this. I found a review written by Dom Lawson, who is a Metal Hammer journalist whose reviews I normally look for because I very much fall in line with his opinion, and I like his journalism a lot. Metal Hammer, bring back Iron Sandwich, please. It was so good. Anyway, it was a gushing review over this new album, which at the time was soon to be released. It was described loosely as a prog album, and I'm all about that, so I knew I had to check it out when it dropped. I'm somewhat, though, surprised I hadn't heard of this band until now, because, as it turns out, their discography, particularly their previous album, The Banished Heart, are massively critically acclaimed albums. You won't find many damning reviews for Oceans of Slumber, and I'm now seeing them referred to by people as one of those bands that have not yet put out a bad release, which is always promising to hear, I suppose. So okay, evidently I've been missing out, but I've started here with their newest album, their self-titled album. Their wiki page and the band's bio on their website both label this band as doom metal, and I know they've been referred to that quite a lot of times in the past. There may be some Doom-inspired moments throughout this release in particular that do hearken to Doom, I suppose, but honestly I don't think that tells the whole package of what they do, unless of course I'm completely missing out on what Doom should sound like. It's not a genre I'm particularly well versed in, so if you hear this album and hear lots of Doom, I apologise, it's just not something I know a lot about other than Pallbearer, I suppose. But so if you hear this album and hear Doom, fair enough. It's just not really what I could hear. What I think we have here is a very eclectic and varied sound, so just to call it Doom, to me, doesn't do it justice, really. I've seen some people calling them Opeth with a female vocalist. I think that's a load of bollocks. They sound nothing like Opeth at all, according to me. I'm a massive fan of Opeth, as you all know, so I don't think anyone sounds like Opeth, but that being said, I am struggling to pick a band to liken Oceans of Slumber 2, and for the record, when I say the band I'm reviewing sounds like another band, it's not me saying they lack creativity or anything. It's just to give you an idea of what they sound like if you've never heard them before. But with Oceans of Slumber, I'm really struggling to do that, which is always quite exciting because, of course, it's not that easy to be completely unique in your own in this industry anymore. So, promising start, and I haven't even talked about the album yet. So, the album juggles between very extreme prog metal and clean, ethereal, and grand melodies and instrumentation. This is owing mostly in part to the separate vocal performances in the band. You have one of the guitarists and the bassist, I think it's those two, providing guttural vocals, and on the lead vocals you have Kemi Gilbert, who sings predominantly clean vocals. I think the best way to get a sense of what they are like on the whole, at least in this album, would be to check out their video for their song The Adorned Fathomless Creation, which is a song on this album I'll come back to later, but I think it has pretty much everything you can expect to hear as a general package. So, into the album itself, what did I think? This is stunningly brilliant. I adored this album. I even went and I ordered the vinyl the vinyl of it. Look at that album art, that is awesome, so cool. And the album came with the CD as well. I didn't know that was going to happen, but that's nifty. I hate these plastic sleeves though, but obviously they didn't want to give me the actual CD case along with the vinyl, but yeah, awesome. Looks amazing. It's like something out of the Stormlight archives or something. Amazing. Anyway, yeah, so clearly I need to go back, hear more Oceans of Slumber, because I'll stick with talking about this release for now. It ticks all the right boxes for me. It's heavy as fuck when it wants to be. Yeah, when it goes very grand and ethereal and low and somber, it's mesmerising and beautiful as well. The opening track, the soundtrack to My Last Day, is also perfect in showcasing what the album is going to be. You've got very intricate riffs for a while, then somber sounds with the clean vocals, then you get massively heavy and guttural vocals. If this isn't the kind of metal that you're used to, you might find this a bit of tonal whiplash going on, but for me personally, shifting between these styles and sounds is what makes a song interesting for 7 minutes and more. You need to find ways to get different ideas in a song and blend them together to make a song long and interesting. And like many of the greats, Tool, Opeth and whatnot, Oceans of Slumber are doing that brilliantly on this album. None of these songs feel long, which is impressive. The melody during Pray for Fire is beautiful. Cami should be going down as one of the great female metal vocalists. Okay, she's not doing anything harsh or guttural, but that's irrelevant. Her vocals are so good, and they pair up with either the heavy bits or the clean parts perfectly in equal measure. The song does eventually get heavy in the second half, and it too is awesome. I already mentioned the Adorned Fathomless Creation, and for good reason, because it's brilliant. The level of talent on display in this band is insane. Alexander and Samir, God, I hate pronouncing people's names, have got such good, harsh vocals, and they really make those moments stand out, not just on this track, but on the whole album. I would say the split between clean to harsh vocals is probably 70% clean, 30% harsh, so for you harsh metal purists out there, be warned that is the case. But those moments when the gutturals punch in, they punch you so hard in the gut, and they're brilliant, and they give the album a terrific pace, and it doesn't feel too repetitive. That being said, another standout song for me, The Colours of Grace, strips the metal right back. You have distorted guitars and power chords and whatnot, but to be clear, there's nothing too heavy in this one. That doesn't matter because the song is very powerful nonetheless. I really resonated with the message of this one as well. The lyrics, again, on this album are really, really good, and I'm not normally a lyrics guy, but they're fantastic as well. I have a feeling this song, Colours of Grace, is being chalked up as the ballad of the album. Well, I know that can be a dirty word in some circles. I mean, yeah, it's a slower paced song than the rest, but I think on this album it fits much more nicely along all the other songs, because the reason ballad kind of has a dirty word in the metal community is normally you get really, like in thrash, for example, you've got all those fast as hell thrash songs in an album, and then everything just suddenly stops for a ballad. It's a bit of a lame drop, really. But in this album, it seems to fit perfectly, even though it slows it right down, which is a remarkable accomplishment, if you ask me. It didn't feel like a ballad until I went back and thought about it and went, oh yeah, maybe it is a ballad, but it's a damn good one. Yeah, Colours of Grace is like most good prog metal ballads, where the message is powerful enough that it can stand on its own 2 feet. It also features Mick Moss of the band Antimatter, and he provides clean vocals alongside Cami, and their voices together sound really, really good. It's also not one of those lame guest features where a guest musician appears for a bit of the song after the second chorus and then is never seen again. His presence is felt throughout this whole song, which is definitely how I like features to be. I have heard of Antimatter, but I've never listened to them, not 1 second of them. But if this is what their vocalist is like, I'll definitely get around to eventually listening to them, because he has got an awesome voice. Total Failure Apparatus is probably the heaviest song on the album. It has mostly cleans during the first half, but for the second half it really explodes. Really low guttural vocals, fast as hell riffing, higher harsh vocals as well than the rest of the album. If you were pining for something brutal, you have this song towards the end of the album, and just like everything else, it's done to a brilliant standard. There were a number of songs on this album where I thought the endings were suitable for an album closer because of how big they felt and how much they had culminated over the course of the song. So I was expecting a big ending to follow suit for the end of the album. However, what we got is the closing song, The Red Flower, which instead brings it right back. It does have some big moments towards the end, but on the whole it is much more brooding than the other songs, which is not how I expected the album to end, but it works. It feels open-ended, like there is more to come, and I certainly hope that is the case. I've liked a lot of albums this year. My reviews on the whole have been albums and projects that I have enjoyed. I just like talking about positive things, but I'll get a bad album in there at some point, I promise. But I really liked this one. It's one of those times where you just take a punt on a new band you don't know and you come away completely stunned. I can't express enough how good Oceans of Slumber's new album is. It's in my top albums of the year for sure, and I can't get enough of it. I hope this band continues to grow in success, as it appears I'm not the only one who is just discovering them for the first time. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them becoming one of the leading figures of progressive metal. And hopefully when touring starts up again and they can get over here, you bet I'll be right there listening to this amazing stuff, because I bet it's so good to hear this stuff live. I can't wait, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, return to form on album reviews. Hopefully we're going to get more of these going. Got some in the pipeline. Got a couple of big albums coming out soon. I might get around to Corey Taylor's album because I think that'll be an interesting one. But nonetheless, this channel's hoping to get some more content out there at a steady rate. Thanks so much for the support lately. It's been absolutely amazing. Look after yourselves out there. Things are starting to get a bit crazy again. And, you know, I think we're all fed up, but we all need to just keep a level head, do what we need to do. We'll see the other side of this soon, I'm sure. So thanks again for watching. Consider subscribing and checking us out on social media. And yeah, I've been Chris. Thanks for watching.